Hello and welcome back to Talk About Strange. Thank you for joining me here today. I got another phenomenal story for you. You guys are going to love this, so stick around. Just real quick note on it. This comes in from Lyra. She is a long time friend of Raven the Immortal. If you guys have watched that, if you haven't, go check out that playlist I have for her. Phenomenal stuff. We do the live show on Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So on the live show, we talk about this kind of stuff, the stories that come in and whatever happened during a week. So whatever our discussion might run into. So we talk about all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of fun. So make sure you join us for the live show. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to get to the story from Lyra. It is Lyra the Huntress. So really cool stuff. I just want to say real quick, thank you to all the subscribers or people, the viewers that have been so wonderful to Raven and to Wendy, to everybody out there, accepting and understanding and supportive of the stories that come in. There's a few people write in, that really don't buy into it and actually act a little bit upset about the whole thing. So I just want to put out there real quick. It's a non-judgmental channel. I read the stories to you guys as I get them. I enjoy them just like I'd enjoy watching a movie or reading a book. So it's up to you whether or not you want to believe the stories. It's okay if you don't. It's perfectly fine. Some of these things are just plain unbelievable. Um, but enjoy the story, right? I mean, that's what we all do. We enjoy the story. And and we have our own beliefs. Like, I happen to believe that there's immortals out there and stuff. I probably believed in immortals before any Bigfoot or anything like that. So, it's a wild thing. So we don't know what's out there in this world. We are just learning all the time. And I've learned so much since I started doing this channel a little over a year ago. So it's really eye-opening, and we're just going to keep on going. I just really appreciate it. If you guys have a story you want to share with us, you can remain anonymous, but you can go on there's a way you can click and send it in anonymously, so I can't even track you back. But anyway, we look forward to stories, and if you want us to share your name, that's great too. Everybody's really good here and very accepting and understanding and really treat you good, as you can see if you read the comments. So anyway, enough about that. I want to share this story. I've been really looking forward to this. I really wanted to do it yesterday, but I didn't get a chance. So that's why I went live yesterday evening. All right. Oh, my daughter was on there and my mother was on there. So if you're on here, if you're watching this, Mom, hello, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. All right, shout out to Mom. Okay, here we go. Let's get started. Hello, my name is Lyra, but my friends call me the Huntress. Interesting. I'm a very old friend of Raven's. She introduced me to your channel and said she feels safe sharing her stories with you. Then insisted that I do the same. We have had this conversation several times through the years. She insisted that people have changed over the years and have become more accepting of people like us. But I've seen firsthand just how bad people can be. You referred to it as the Dark Ages. So I've chosen a life of solitude, only trusting one or two other people in this world. Raven thinks would be therapeutic for me to be able to share and interact with others. She says I've sheltered myself for far too long. I told her it's a bad idea and will lead to trouble, so I'm not going to do it, nor should she. As you might know by now, Raven is very persistent and a bit persuasive, not to mention I owe her one. Here I am, crazy as it is. However, I will lead with this warning. Unlike her, if you try to come find me, the outcome will not end well. I promise you this. Hey, no worries. All right, we're not going to. Come find us. With that said, I'll take a chance and share a little bit about myself. I've read through the comments from your viewers. I agree with Raven. Everybody does appear to be very kind and accepting. I guess we'll see what you think about me after I share my history. You'll soon know I'm not quite as kind and gentle and forgiving as Raven, a quality I do love about her. Unlike her, I know where my life began, so I'll start there. I was born in a hunting village over 2,000 years ago. Wow. In southern Siberia. and you were born someplace cold. My father, a direct descendant of the Scythians, was an incredible man, a warrior, and a great hunter. My parents had two children. My brother came first. He was only a year or so older than I. In our village, even the children knew how to hunt and provide. You might say that was our form of playtime. When I was 8 or 9 years old, we had gone out into the woods close by the village to check our snare traps. We had heard squealing of a rabbit coming from deeper in the woods. We thought maybe somebody else had set a trap and forgot it. So we ventured out to find it, and we did. As I held the rabbit down, my brother finished it off. While he was untangling it from the rope, we heard something in the woods around us. I told him we'd better go, but it was too late. A pack of wolves had heard the squealing rabbit and moved in for dinner. There was one standing between us and our path. My brother threw the rabbit at it as a distraction and pushed me ahead of him. We ran past the wolf and kept going. I remember feeling my brother's hand on my back as he pushed me ahead of him. When we broke free of the woods, we ran straight to my mother. Gasping for air, I told her that the wolves were chasing us. My heart stopped when she asked where my brother was. I turned around to find he wasn't there, nor did he follow me out of the woods. To this day, I remember distinctively feeling his hand on my back as we ran all the way back to my mother. Wow, that's horrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. When my father returned, he assembled his party and we went after the pack. They returned 3 days later with the wolf's furs on their saddles and the remainder of my brother. Oh, I stared as one of the men unloaded the furs and felt a chill run through me as he laid out the one that stood in front of us. I told my father that it was the one that chased us. He said it can't hurt me anymore. I told him I wasn't afraid and asked him if I could keep it. He nodded his head with a tear in his eyes that I'll never forget. I still have that fur. I wore on several hunts because I could feel my brother's spirit in the fur and his hand on my back whenever I was in danger. Very cool. With my brother gone, my father taught me everything he knew about hunting and killing. I learned this with a vengeance and became very good at it. One day when I was a little older, my father looked me in the eyes and said, "You need to let go of this anger." He reminded me that we hunt for survival and kill for protection, and that what happened was just nature. He still continued to lead most of the hunting parties. I desperately wanted to go with him, but was still too young. My mother and the other men would not allow it. Sometimes he would leave and not come back for weeks. When I was what you consider to be a pre-teenager, my father and other men went out on a hunt, but did not return. This had never happened before. Soon a search party was put together to go out and look for them. They returned with one of the men barely hanging on to life. You could see the terror in his eyes. He trembled like nothing I'd ever seen. Before he died, he told us that the rest of the men, including my father, had been attacked and killed by a giant, human-like beast covered in white, blood-soaked hair. He even looked like he had been attacked by a large tiger or bear. The man told my mother that my father sacrificed himself in order for a couple of us to escape, but the creature caught up and attacked them as well and left him for dead. Again, I lost someone else I loved to a beast of the forest. In that moment, I swore a vengeance from that day forward. I trained myself to fight and kill. I learned how to make and use every weapon I could imagine. Over the next 3 years, that was all I thought about. I separated myself from everyone else that I loved and only talked to people that could help me in my mission. My mother was the only other one that I would confide in, as she knew there was no stopping me. The day finally came, I was ready, so I put together a hunting party of nothing but the best hunters, warriors, and trackers that I had been training with for this day. 12 of us all together. Most had lost parents that day as well. Together, we set out to find the creature and kill it. Returning to the location where my father had been attacked, we set up a base camp. From there, each day, we went out and searched the creature. 3 weeks had passed with no sign of it anywhere. I thought we must have been too late, that it had already was dead or gone. So we talked about looking in another location deeper in the forest anyway, just to be certain, closer to the mountains. But that wouldn't matter. That night before we moved, it found us, the same as it did my father, with our guard down. We all thought that we were hunting one creature, but when they attacked, it was during the night and it was from both sides. By the time we realized what was happening, most of the men had already been killed. The creature entered the camp with no fear of our fire and weapons. They attacked swiftly and viciously. I remember the screams of the men as they were being ripped apart. Only a handful of us had a chance to get to our weapons and fight back against the giant beasts. But they were so fast and strong, we didn't have much of a chance. We had spears and axes and even bows, but they had everything they could throw at us, including large stones that weighed even more than us. They even threw our own people at us. Together, the few of us started backing out of the camp in a tight group. One of them stayed in front of us, and the other flanked us from behind. When we turned to the one behind us, the other moved in for the kill, but fell straight into a trap we had set, a deep pit full of spears. It let out a vicious, blood-curdling scream as it tried to free itself from dozens of sharp spears that riddled its body. The creature behind us had become distracted by the screams of the other one, giving us the opportunity to regroup and attack with our spears. The only thing we had was long enough to reach without getting swiped by the giant hands and claws. We finally managed to injure the creature enough that it retreated to the woods, but it was too dark for us to follow, so we waited until morning. By then, the creature in the pit had died, and one of the two men that remained were injured during the fight and could not go with us. Now convinced that we could finish the injured beast off, the two of us that remained set out to track it down. We followed the tracks for miles. It led us up into the mountains, where we finally came to a cave. Its bloody footprints led into the entrance. Hoping to trap it, we built a large fire inside the cave. Then, with a couple of torches for light, we entered to find the beast. We followed the sound of its groans and screams deep inside. When we finally cornered it, we stood strong with our spears, facing face to face with the enormous angry beast. The room was filled with the stench of death. We threw our torches on the ground to light the area and so it could not pass us, then started to move in. I wanted to believe that we had him cornered and weakened as it rocked back and forth, growling and snarling at us. It lunged at me. I thrust my spear at its throat, but it hit the center of my spear, knocking it from my hands, and with the same motion, brought his massive hand back across the side of my head, sending me across the room into the cave wall. I saw a flash of light as my head smashed against a stone. When I came to, the man, a friend that was with me, lay dead on the ground before me, tore to pieces, and the beast was gone. I didn't know how I survived or why. I buried my friend in the floor of the cave. He is likely still there today. I stumbled my way back to the camp and buried the rest of my party, then filled the pit where the dead beast lied. I returned to my village with only the other survivor to let my people know what had happened. Many of them were very angry with me. Some of them even blamed me for their losses, but most of them begged me not to go back, including my mother. But it was no use. I swore vengeance of my father and all the people that this beast had killed. So I prepared myself and head back out to fight it again. It took me 2 years to finally catch up and trap it. I knew it was the same one by the scars that we had put on it that night. This time I was better prepared and I didn't need anybody else beside me. I had become a great archer, and with my bow, I was able to attack from a distance and bring the creature down. I finally avenged my father. I wanted to bring home a trophy to show my people what I had done, but his head was too large to carry back to my people, so I returned with the hand from the beast that killed my father and a large section of fur as a reminder. From then on, I set out to hunt and kill as many of them as I could find. Before I knew it, decades had passed. I'd traveled far places around the world. Over time, I began to realize I was not aging like I should. I started looking for others like me. I heard of people living long lives, immortals, but never thought it would be me. Eventually, I found others that with similar situations that when faced with death, they seemingly did not die. Over time, I sustained several injuries that would have killed a normal person. I had decided my purpose on this earth was to hunt and kill these evil beasts, so I did. Not just Yetis, Sasquatch, and Bigfoot. I even hunted down and destroyed a couple of werewolves, a ghoul, and a bunch of those nasty little cannibalistic cave-dwelling people. I heard about them just recently. Throughout hundreds of years, I've traveled around the world, searching and killing as many as I could, especially the Yeti and Bigfoot. It wasn't until I met Raven that I finally stopped killing. She made me realize that they were not all killers and that most of them were peaceful. Raven and I were slightly more than friends for over 300 years. But then something happened that forced us to part ways. I had to return to my old ways just long enough to right a wrong. It was March 15th, 1959, when I learned about the massacre that occurred at Dyatlov Pass. Immediately I knew what had happened. Raven begged me not to go, but I had no choice. I knew the Yetis were back and that I had to stop them before anyone else could get hurt. So I went back on the hunt. When I got there was already a large group of people searching the area, looking for the answers or for the elusive killer. I didn't even have to hide. It was easy for me to blend in with them until I found an opportunity. Then I broke away from the others so I could track the beast. I searched for months without a trace. It was as if the area had been wiped clean of any evidence that ever existed. Eventually, I reached a conclusion that whatever or whoever done this was long gone, dead, or had been captured by someone or something else. But it didn't matter, as long as it was over and not hurting anyone else. Since then, I've all but hung up my bow. The world has become a different place. However, I do scan the internet and read the papers, looking for stories with the right details about them out there hurting people. That's when I'll step back in. Anyway, I've made my peace with the Bigfoot people as long as they don't hurt anyone. I've come to realize that they are mostly good, but I've never met a Yeti I won't kill. They are pure evil creatures and nothing like Sasquatch or Bigfoot. So there's not as many creatures out there as there used to be, but they are still out there, and so am I. Until next time, Lyra. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you, Lyra, for sharing that with us. Holy cow. I could picture it in my mind while I was reading it. So that's just wild stuff. Lyra the Huntress, we definitely want to meet you. So, on good terms. So great stuff. Thank you for sending that in to us. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. Very neat. And um, don't forget Sunday, we can talk about that on the live show. That's gonna be Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central Eastern Time. I know I keep saying it, but I want to see you guys there. And anybody else, if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss out on that. You'll get a notification when we do the live show or when these stories come in and I post them. So I try to post at least one story a week and go live once a week as the channel's growing and as I get everything put back together here with the studio. So, all right, that's it for now. Thank you so much again for joining us. I appreciate you all, and I will see you again really soon. In fact, really, really soon, tomorrow night.